P.O.L.
Hey, what up y'all, IntraVenus here, back with another episode of P.O.L. Game Review and Music. Today I am doing a follow-up video to my recent video about docking the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro. In this video, I'm going to compare two different docks that I've been running tests on, and one of them is a very popular one that has been brought up to me a lot called the Skull Co. The other one is one that I found on my own, which was featured in my previous video. If you are here to see gameplay of this device docked, you should check out the video before this one, as the actual HDMI out on both these docks presents the same image from what I could tell. So there's no reason for me to show you gameplay on both docks. I'm just going to show you the docks. We're going to talk about the features. I'll tell you my likes and dislikes, and we'll figure out which one might be right for you. Thanks for tuning in, y'all, and let's go ahead and get into the first dock. Alright, the first dock that I'm going to feature in this video is the dock that I found on my own on Amazon.com doing my own research. I haven't seen anybody else use this dock except for me. And it is the dock that was featured in my previous video. This is the Cable Matters 5-in-1 USB-C dock. It has two extra USB ports, one on each side. One's USB 2.0, the other one's USB 3.0. It has an Ethernet port, it has an HDMI port, and it has a USB-C for powering. In addition to this, it also comes with this little bar that attaches to the back to support your device, as well as two different rubber spacers that can be used depending on what device you're using and whether it has a case on it or not. This dock, if you're using a case, you want to use the slimmer one if you're using the actual grips, say from Retroid, or if you're using it without any grips on it at all, you want to use the thick one. They each fit perfectly. There is one thing to note about this, and this is one of the reasons why I didn't provide too much information about this dock in my previous video. This is slightly customized. Let me show you. The support bar on the back of the Cable Matters dock is removable, and it actually comes with about 1-inch longer pegs on each one of these. So the legs on the support bar that comes with the Cable Matters dock actually are about 1 inch longer than what you see here. If you buy this dock, you will have to trim this down if you want to use the support bar. You don't have to use the support bar, but I do recommend it because I don't think on any dock you should just be solely resting it on the USB-C and just hoping that that's going to stand it up. It could put a lot of stress on it. So the bar, what I've done here is with a Dremel actually cut off 1 inch of each of these to make it pretty smooth. Now, you don't really have to use a Dremel. You could use like some cable cutters or lock cutters or something like that. The only thing is you might end up with a little metal point at the end instead of it being flat. That being said, these holes are pretty deep, and if you happen to leave those points on here, I don't think it'll, stop it from working. I think it'll work fine. It's just important to know that the sharper this metal is, the more careful you have to be putting it in, because if you're dragging it around, you're going to scratch up at the top. So just line up those holes and pop it in after you trim those pegs. Once you have the pegs or legs for the back support bar, you are ready to go. The pros for this dock are as follows. It has two extra USB ports. One of them is 3.0 and one of them is 2.0. It has an Ethernet port, which means you can actually connect this directly to your router for the fastest internet speeds possible. It also has HDMI out and a USB-C port, and that is so you can do video out at the same time as charging it. This dock is perfect for the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro, aside from the fact that you have to trim these bars. When you drop the Retroid Pocket 4 on here, it immediately starts to charge and it goes right to the television. That might not be the case for our next dock. Let's take a look. Alright, here we have the Skull Co Jumpgate dock. This dock has been recommended to me on Reddit, on Facebook, and Retroid groups and communities. Everybody says they love the Skull dock, the Skull Co Jumpgate dock, and it is their preference. I have run into some issues with this, and I'm going to go over it now. This is the Skull Co Jumpgate. It features an extendable top to provide extra support for the back of your device. It has a floating USB-C, which means it's supposed to be easier to put on and take off and get it lined up right. I, however, think this floating thing feels cheap. I don't really like it at all. In general, this dock weighs like half as much as the Cable Matters 5-in-1, and it just feels kind of cheap. It's very light plastic. However, it looks good. I really like the pictures on the bottom. It has an adjustable kickstand as well as switches on the bottom, which you can move depending on how far you want the floating USB peg to be from the front or back. So one direction you would slide these to have room for a thicker device or a device with a case on it, and the other way would be for a thinner one. In addition to that, it also has a removable jump gate. See down here, you can slide out the main guts of this baby, and you can take it on the go if you want to use it as some portable adapter for your PC. I, however, don't really find a need for this, though I have looked at the website a little bit, and it seems like they offer some different types, maybe some upgraded jump gates. It does look like on the side of this, when you pop it open, it reveals a spot where there would be an extra USB port, but on this one, it is not there. To use this on your Retroid Pocket 4 Pro, you have to do a couple. Number one, there is a peg inside of here that is a little spacer peg behind the USB-C, and you need to remove that to make room for your Retroid Pocket 4 Pro to even sit on here. It won't fit otherwise, and even if you move the sliding USB-C to its larger spot, it still doesn't fit with that peg on there. So you have to remove the peg. The peg is real easy to remove and probably real easy to lose once you remove it. Now after you do that, the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro fits on here fine, though it does sit a little to the side as it does on both docks, but it is very much more noticeable on this one that you have more of your Retroid Pocket sitting out here. In fact, it even weighs down a little bit and looks like it slightly pulls up on one side, just a hair. It still works though. However, you cannot use a grip case on the Retroid Pocket 4 while you're using the jump gate. It just doesn't fit. It says it's made for devices with cases, but that's not this. They're talking about like the Switch and stuff like that. This, you cannot. I was able to fit it on, but the thing is, the peg is receded too far to make it all the way into the console with the grip on. It just won't work. Now, the Cable Matters dock has those interchangeable rubber pads where it gives you different spaces and allows you to have that extra space if needed for a taller USB-C peg. This does not. And unfortunately, there is still one more thing about this that I don't like, and it is a deal breaker. You cannot charge this device at the same time as it being on HDMI, from what I've seen, unless you put it on the dock with the USB-C unplugged so it syncs to the TV, and then you plug in the USB-C power. Then it starts to charge. But if you have it with both of those cords plugged in and you just want to drop it and play, well, it'll drop on there and start charging, but it won't go to the TV. Not until you pull that power out and plug it back in. That is huge, because if you are going to be dropping this on a dock, the point of this is for the ease and the accessibility. You don't want to have to go to the back of the dock and mess with the cables every single time you want to play your Retroid Pocket 4 on the TV. That just doesn't fly for me. So, here you have both docks. The Cable Matters 5-in-1 and the Skull Co Jumpgate. In my opinion, only one of these is a winner. I'll use both because I have a few TVs and sometimes I go from one to another. But really, the Skull Co has failed. I'm sorry, y'all, but if you are doing the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro on a TV, I do not suggest that you get the Skull Co dock. It just isn't fitting, physically even. I know that you might feel deterred by the fact that you have to trim these pegs. Let me offer you perhaps an alternative. You can try to bend it with the longer pegs and bend it out and down so that it kind of bends outward here and it'll still support your device. You could try that. You could also just go ahead and get some wire cutters and clip those babies. It's really not that hard, and it's worth it in my opinion. When it comes down to it, this is a more expensive dock. The Cable Matters 5-in-1 USB-C dock runs for $39.99 on Amazon.com, and I'll leave a link for both of these in the description below. The Skull Co dock does only go for $23. Now that might be a deal breaker on its own. So it's really up to you how you feel, which one do you prefer. Really take a look at what I've offered you as information in this video and make a decision for yourself. In my opinion, I think you should go with this one. It's sturdier, it looks nicer, and it works better. $40 isn't really that much to spend, and a lot of us have some tools laying around. But maybe you don't. Please let me know in the comments down below. I appreciate y'all so much for sticking around to the end of the episode. Hit the like and subscribe buttons if you like this episode because it reminds me that there are other people watching and I'll continue to make these videos. It inspires me. So, until the next one, I'll catch you on a flip. Peace out.
Well, that was just childhood. We were all there together, and in denial would play like it was forever. And in the tall woods, we'd stay out of the weather like it was all good. Every day we made it for pleasure. We were saying whatever came to our minds, plain and simple like a tetherball reaching the sky. We were taking new heights on the swing.